Hi and welcome to the third part in this episode, the Planetary series. This episode is focused entirely around Mercury, the planet Mercury, and the god archetypal energies of both Mercury in Roman mythology and Hermes in Greek mythology. So we really have the quality here of traversing boundaries. This is very much a focus for mercurial energy. So we can consider this in both polarities. We can think about crossing over and moving past or through this liminal space into a new chapter of our lives. Or we can also think about it in terms of inserting boundaries where we want to keep our energetic field safe and protected from unwanted energies. So it really is about discernment of energies, what comes into our space. It's really about moving through pathways or finding also the highest aligned path for us. Finding the path, your path of least resistance. So this is the path of intuition, it's the path of inner knowing. It requires a tuning out of like external noise and like collective consciousness patterns that are maybe more fear-based, and it's about really connecting into your source and your individuality. So Mercury really calls for a fluidity or an honouring of the fluidity and the flowing nature of your ever-shifting identity. Sometimes there can be this fixed sense of like, I'm a teacher, a doctor, a physician, a writer, an artist, maybe even in a very specific discipline, although everything's artistry. But sometimes we can confine ourselves within these very specific labels of I am. And this one thing, it's a very deep conditioning that we've been raised to be specialists really in one specific field. And whilst we are here for a very definite purpose when we come into our soul embodied true nature and authentic expression, this is ever unfolding. The soul is continually journeying, so we will always be unfolding into more and more of our gifts, potential and expression. It is completely unfixed. And so as soon as we can start stripping away these specificities really of like I am and defining and labeling and confining, as soon as we can take that away, then we can step into this freedom of expression, into our truth, into our true nature and why we really came to earth and what we're here to like transmit, to speak, to express. And really, Mercury calls you to ask, what is your unique creative expression? What are the ways that you do dance, speak, move, create? What is the natural aesthetic of you? How do you like to organically create without any care or consideration for how it's going to be received, rather that it is just an emerging, like flowing expression from the very core of your being? Mercury or Hermes is also known as the god of the unconscious. So when you meet with energies that are really shining a light on a particular part of you, perhaps they are parts of you that have been overlooked, or they are even shining a light into your light, onto your light. It's like saying, here is your beauty, see your beauty, because when you observe beauty in another, whether it's a person or a thing or a creature or a flower or an experience, you've created that. You are seeing a reflection of your own beauty. So this beautiful polarity again, and like the trickster quality of Hermes, it's quite humorous, this energy, and like quick-witted. And yes, like traversing boundaries all the time, like moving and fluid and finding the highest path, finding, the path of least resistance, which is like a continual dance. It's a cosmic dance of your own nature. You're always seeking to find the alignment that is always changing, it's always unfolding. And this really is a liberation as well, because really you cannot be late. You can be out of alignment or you can be in alignment. And you will know this, you'll be able to judge this by how much peace and expansion is felt in your body. When you start to feel constricted or restrained, or you feel dis-ease and discomfort of the disease variety rather than the expansion, the fear of the unknown, then you will start to feel ailments, you will start to feel blockages of energy in your body, and these are beautiful signaling messengers of how to come back into alignment, or rather, what is the emotional block. The organs are all connected with specific emotions, and so really, if you can tune into your body, if you can really drop into your body every time you feel even the slightest aggravation or inhibition, and just observe where it dwells in your physical body, then you can start to direction your attention and breath to that very very specific part of your body, and this way, like, untangle. The healing is not something that's a doing, it's happening in the space, it's happening in the light of your conscious attention. So when you say, like, I want to bring the breath to this part, like maybe my heart feels clouded, or maybe my lungs, this is connected with grief, or I feel a disconnection from my power, this is affected at your navel center, your solar plexus, or if you're struggling to create, this is a blockage in your sacral sex center. If you don't feel safe, this is a blockage in your root chakra. So really connecting with the earth is a very powerful way to reconnect you with your sense of safety first, which is really the point of beginning. When we feel safe, then this is the point out of which we can start to rise and flow and fountain and come into our fullest expressions. Hermes and Mercury, they're also the energies of economy. And this is economy of movement, which is also intrinsically connected with alignment, because when we're acting from a place of alignment, like we're opening to receive and we're not acting until it feels spontaneous and natural, then we don't expel any energy that's unwanted, or rather we don't place our energy somewhere where we're just putting it into the void and it's meeting with either an unresponsivity, or it's meeting with just, it feels like a void, it feels like it's just being poured into a vacuum, your energy. So you want to come back to this place where it's like intuitive, natural, it's authentic, your expression is authentic, it's very true and specific and unique to you. And when you move from this place of receptivity, you'll start to feel the flow. So alignment feels like expanse in your body. It feels like satisfaction. It feels like doors opening. It feels like flow and ease. It feels effortless. It feels like a gliding sensation. You don't meet with friction. But when you're misaligned, you'll feel frustrated or bitter or restricted, or like you're wasting your energy. So it's really important to always come back to this place where you're meditating, you're opening into the creative field of the feminine to receive what is the most aligned action for me to take next. I open to receive the ideas and impulses that are most aligned for my highest good and for the greatest good of the collective too, because whenever you align in your highest expression, then this is you showing up for the greatest good of the collective too. So it's like putting yourself first, putting all of your feelings first as well, make these paramount. Like, how do I feel? And what makes me feel better? And what makes me become more fully alive? Because when you become more fully alive, when you become more satisfied, then you start to be able to realize your full potential. So when you're having your needs met, when you feel good, when you feel supported, when you feel elevated and nourished and celebrated and seen and valued. So this really requires boundaries. I'll come back to boundaries in a minute, but it really requires you discerning what comes into your space, like really consenting very specifically to what's allowed and what's disallowed, because really any energies that you allow in will start to synchronize with yours, will start to dance with your field. Even if you have the strongest of energetic enchantment, that energy is still coming into your field, or you're still allowing it. And if you permit it rather than say, no, this is not okay for me, I disallow this to enter my space, then the universe goes, okay, then it says yes to you always. And so it will go, oh, you like that energy being in your space. So then you start to attract more and more of those energies, and you'll start to synchronize in with other relationships and other connections that are also in that similar vibration. So the environment that you're in and the people that you surround yourself by are super important. This is really the message of Mercury, of Hermes. So really saying these sacred no's to anything that does not feel sweet in the body, You want to be saying absolutely yes to those places where you feel more able to come into your higher expression, where you feel seen and heard, where people are also stepping into their expression and expressing authentically. Go to those places, spend time with those people, and allow that to entrain with your field. Invite those frequencies in, where people are authentic, they're natural, they're expressing fully, they're kind, they're in their heart space, they're offering, they're vulnerable, they're exposing themselves. This is the place where you want to be. So only taking action, powerfully aligned action, when it's aligned. It has to be this feeling of expanse, this intuitive knowing, this receptive first, then response to the receptivity. And if not, you will meet with these feelings of like frustration, or you're hitting a wall, or you're repeatedly hitting a wall. And yes, when you're expanded, it's like opening, opening, and opening. And when you feel these openings, when you start to observe those openings, really follow those, because if ever there's opening and flow, this really is a great part of your purpose, and it's being supported. Your vulnerability and your yesness to stepping into that open door, that portal of yours, one of those portals of yours, is going to be supported and supported and supported. And what happens is your energy will start to snowball. So as soon as you start getting those openings, really allow the power of that. Even if it feels oceanic, even if it feels extraordinarily powerful, you are here to be in that power. And it might feel unfamiliar to begin with, because we've been so conditioned to be subservient, really, and small and humble and polite and neat and tidy, when really the truth is, like, we're wild and messy and expressive and vocal. And, you know, we all have a very specific message and way of expressing to transmit on this planet. Hermes comes with the symbol of the caduceus, the two snakes entwined together. This is really representative of the merging of your sun and your moon, the golden frequency with the silver frequency. The silver frequency is the gate of man, and the golden frequency is the gate of the god. So it's your god nature meeting your humanity. It's weaving together. It's your masculine aspect of your soul weaving together with the feminine aspect of your soul. So this is really a call for like the balancing of your energies. So noticing any areas in your life where you might be excessively feminine, excessively passive, too receptive without making action, maybe too chaotic without enough structure. Or equally, where might you be excessively masculine? Where are you too rigid? Where could you be more flexible? Where are you very habitual? Could you open into the opposite? Where are you trying to control? Can you come back into your flow and receptivity? So it's really about this dance and continually observing the dance, because different situations also call for different aspects of your soul to be expressed. So it is a continual cosmic dance, but it's about opening, then aligned action, opening, aligned action, and continually seeing what's called for in every given moment. Mercury also talks about the swinging between extremes. So it's very natural that we will experience something or create something in our life that causes us pain. And then what happens, or we observe it as being something that we really find unacceptable, or we just don't like it at all. So maybe we were raised in a specific way by a parent that exhibited a particular set of personality traits. And we were like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to be like that. I really don't want to express like that at all. Like the masculine like that is like this, or you know, being a mother in this way is like this. And so what we have a tendency to do is swing to the far end of the extreme. And this just creates imbalance in the total opposite direction. But it is very natural, because then we experience the consequences of that. And this is how we find the middle ground. So Mercury is asking us to think about how we swing between extremes, about bringing flexibility to the way that we express, and finding that beautiful middle ground, you know, where we're not too far in our feminine, we're not too far in our masculine, we're not rejecting masculinity in a certain way. Like, we do need some discipline. We just don't want to be excessively disciplined. We do want to be, we do want to be wild, but we don't want to be chaotic without structure. So it's always about moderation, but still being in our full nakedness of wild expression with the volume fully turned up, you know? So Mercury is copulating snakes, balancing of the energies. It's like shining a light on your subconscious. So if you're meeting with anything that feels like your shadows are being illuminated, this is typically a mercurial energy. Mercury is asking you to be fluid with your identity and try to relax any labels around how you identify as, whether it's around your gender, sexuality, your profession, anything, because we can constantly change. And it is such a liberation, one of the greatest liberations, to come to this place where you dance in the fluidity, you know, where in every given moment you're just responding and responding. Then this is pure awareness, and you're in the present moment and the ever eternal now. So yes, Mercury, it's boundaries, it's traversing thresholds, it's swinging between extremes and finding the moderation and the middle ground and the natural, honouring the process and honouring the naturalness of this, but becoming aware of it so that you can find the moderation, but still with your full expression. And all the time noticing your feminine and masculine aspect of your soul and how they're expressing. Really, like, the feminine is like flow, she's passive, she's cooling, she's regulatory, she's wild, expressive, she's the unseen, she's the mystery. The masculine is rigid and structure, it's your sun, it's your intent and your will to sit down, it's your discipline in its purest expression. So this is the light feminine and the light masculine, really. It's the positive expressions of both. And the extremes of both of those are like the feminine as like seductress, as chaotic, as completely unanchored and unruly. Interestingly, I really feel like masculine energy anchors us into the earth. You know, it makes us take action, and this is how we ground, like, you know, the ethereal aspect of our soul into our body, by taking action, by creating, by doing, but only when it's aligned. The dark masculine is like controlling, authoritarian, it's conquering, it wants to own rather than hold, you know, rather than create this structure that enables and facilitates the freedom. So you can use the beautiful mercurial energies to think about your fluidity, to think about your adaptability, and to think about how you balance your energies. So beautiful human, until the next episode in the Planetary series, sending you so much love. Let me know how this lands with you in the comments below, and I will see you soon.